Okay, good morning and welcome to today's webinar. I'm just waiting for everyone to come in from the waiting room, so we'll give it a couple more seconds and then we'll get started. For those that are here now, my name is Camille Blomdahl and I'm the Director of Client Services at WealthTrace. And today we will be taking you through the software and showing you the new and improved WealthTrace user interface. And we will be mentioning some of the differences. So if you're new here, you may not know what we're referring to, but for those that are here from the old user interface, we're going to be talking a little bit about changes and what's new, but it shouldn't be too confusing, hopefully. And I am joined by Doug Carey, who is the founder of WealthTrace and a chartered financial analyst.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining today. And if I haven't said it already, thanks to the beta testers who helped over the last year or so, and people who have been using the new release the past week and giving us feedback. So thank
Mhm.
you again.
Yes, thank you very much to everyone. If you have any questions as we're going through the software, you can send any questions through the Q&A chat. And I will either answer them live or Doug will answer a couple of them through the actual chat. And to open that, you'll see it at the bottom of your Zoom window. And then we're also going to be utilizing polls during this webinar. We've done this a couple times before, and they're very helpful for getting some feedback. So if you'd like to participate, then that would be great. I'm going to launch just a test poll now to make sure everyone understands how it works. So you may see the option for multiple choice or user input. In this test poll, you will see both, meaning you can select multiple options or type in your own answer. So I'm going to go ahead and launch that now. Again, this is just a test one. I will be launching more important polls shortly. So I'll let everyone answer that kind of in the background and we'll get started on the dashboard. So the dashboard is what we used to call the home screen. So as you can see, everything is looking quite different. This page is now, like I mentioned, or screen will be referred to as the dashboard, which you'll see up here on the left-hand side as well. On the dashboard, we have these four sections, which will show you your asset allocation, your projected investment balances, your net worth summary, your projected investment values at retirement and at the end of your plan, along with your projected net worth at the end of the plan. These headers can also be clicked on, which will bring you to that specific section. And then let me go ahead and close that poll. Thank you to everyone that answered. Hopefully, everyone understands how it works. Great participation rate, so thank you. Okay, we'll close that. Over on the right-hand side of the dashboard, you can view all the investment accounts that are in your plan. You can see the current total investment balance at the top, along with your total net worth. To add an investment account, you can click on this plus icon, which will open up a new window where you can select to either link an account or manually add an account. We will talk a little bit more about linking accounts later in the webinar and why it is so helpful. So stay tuned for that. And any accounts that show a date below the balance over here are accounts that have been linked through Yodlee. If the account is highlighted in red, I don't have any highlighted in red at the moment, but if it is, you can click on it and it'll either ask you to update the link or you can find out what has gone wrong with the linking if you click on it. If we go ahead and scroll down, you can view these quick links to, or click on these quick links to go to various sections of the software. So if you click on any of these, that will bring you directly to that section. You can explore retirement cash flows, run wealth conversion scenarios, view your asset allocation, holdings, performance, and so on. And then I'm actually going to launch another poll a little bit close together, but we do want your feedback on the new user interface. So if you have been using the old one or if you're new, we just want to know a little bit what you think. So I'm going to launch that right now. And for this poll, it's a little bit different. You have 4 questions where you can provide feedback using a rating scale, and 1 question where you can type any feedback that you would like to provide. So I'll give everyone a couple seconds to do that. And then while everyone is looking at the poll, before we leave the dashboard, I do want to show you something. If we clicked on one of our investment accounts in the previous user interface, this would take us to the investment history and breakdown section. But now this instead takes us to the account assumptions and settings for that account. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this brokerage account here, which is a linked account. And you'll see that we are now in the account assumptions and settings for this specific account. And we are on the cash flow input screen instead. And I'll let everyone look at the poll for a little bit longer. And just to mention here, in here you can view and edit your account name, change the owner, input the current balance, unless it's a linked account, which should be there already. You can also change the account type and enter a cost basis. And down below, you'll see additional options. So we'll go ahead and click on this one. So in here, you can edit the annual return, which will open in a new window. There has been a little bit of confusion regarding saving in the new user interface. So you'll notice there's no save button here. Everything will automatically save as soon as you change it. So if you were to change this return to something else, as soon as you click out of this window, it will automatically save. You can also enter annual contributions, edit the funds rules, change the account assumptions, and view or enter the account holdings. Since this is a linked account, you'll see the holdings listed here along with the asset classes assigned and the balances over on the right. And before we leave the account settings, you can also click on this button here to view the asset allocation for this specific account. And if you click on this little magnifying glass up here, this will take you to the investment insights section, which is the new name for the investment history and breakdown section. I'm not going to click on that just yet because there's a lot more I want to show you on the cash flow input screen, but I just want to point out that that is there. So we'll leave that account and let me go ahead and close the poll. Thank you to everyone that answered. Very much appreciated. Just looking at a question that came in. Do you want to take a look at that, Doug, while I move on?
Oh, sorry, I was typing in a Q&A answer.
Oh, okay. That was probably the question I saw then. Never mind. Okay, so this is what the cash flow input screen looks like now. Obviously, we didn't really have the screen before, but in here you can view the cash flow graphs that used to be on the home screen. And you can click on the headers up here to go through them. You can also hover over all of these. So we'll click through a couple of these just to show you what they look like. And then one thing I want to point out is that if you click on the legend down here, you can filter out the data. So if you hover over it, it isolates it in the graph. And if you actually click on it, it removes it from the graph. And then you can also click on these 3 little bars up here if you'd like to export any of these graphs. You can view your asset allocation across all accounts over here on the right. And if you have a future asset allocation entered, then you will also see that future allocation here. You can view the projected investment values at your retirement dates here and at the end of your plan, along with the projected net worth. This is the same values that are shown on the dashboard, but we show them here as well. And any data that you change below on the screen will show you what happens to your plan projections, asset allocation, and cash flow graphs immediately above, which is great if you're exploring adding new expenses, cash inflows, other types of scenarios. Previously, you would have needed to navigate to multiple different screens to run these types of scenarios. You will no longer need to do that since it's all on the same screen. I will give you an example as we go along, but I just wanted to point out that all of this will update immediately if you change anything down here. So if we take a look at the investment account, so down here is where you can view and also add investment accounts along with cash inflows, goals and additional expenses, any assets, and liabilities. Oops. So we will go back to the investment account. So manually adding an investment account has become much easier now. If you want to add an account similar to the dashboard, you just click on it, click to add the account here, and you can select from one of these account types. The account will then automatically be placed into the correct investment section for you, so you no longer need to do that. So for example, if we click on non-qualified annuity, which is a new account type that has been added, this will take you to the account assumptions and settings screen where you can input all of those account details. And like I mentioned before, if you want to link an account, you can either click on the link account button on the dashboard or you can click on it in the investment section as well. So this button right here. And before we move on, I do want to give you some additional information on why linking accounts through Yodlee is extremely valuable when creating your financial plan. You have probably heard me say this before if you've been in any other webinar, but I'm going to say it again. When investment accounts are linked through Yodlee, the investment assets are updated daily, and we are able to retrieve every underlying holding, such as stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, and more. We also retrieve the asset class that the holding is assigned to. This allows us to map the holding to the correct asset class within WealthTrace. It also allows us to pull in the historical information for that holding, which is extremely valuable and adds to the accuracy of the projections. And while we're in here too, I also want to mention that we have added two-factor authentication. This was a highly requested feature, so we're happy to announce that it has been added. If you want to enable this for your account, you can click on your username up here and then navigate over to account information. In there, you'll see the option to toggle this feature on or off. And then let's take a look at the cash inflows. So your Social Security and pension payments have now moved here instead. You can click on your Social Security to open it and update your annual payment and make any changes. Same goes for your pension. And for this, you can also change the start date, growth rate, and survivor benefit percentage down here. If you want to add a new cash inflow, you can click on the plus icon and either select from one of these existing types of inflows, or you can select other cash inflow down at the bottom. If we go ahead and click on sale of home, for example, which is a new cash inflow, I guess, you can change the name of the cash inflow and enter the annual amount here. Below, you can specify when the inflow will start, when it will end, the growth rate, and how it should be taxed. So a new feature for this specific inflow is that you can add the cost basis here and indicate if this is your primary home for the primary home tax exclusion. We will exit out of this one. So in the cash inflows, you'll want to enter any type of income that you will receive outside of your normal salary or any income that you will receive in retirement. And like I mentioned before, any changes you make down below will reflect immediately above. So I'm going to use Heather's inheritance here as an example. So if we take a look at the projected investment values over here on the right, you can also look at the graph if you'd like. We're going to give this a $0 balance and then hit save, and you'll see those numbers immediately change, obviously go down for her since we give her a 0 inheritance. So I just wanted to show how quickly that changes the results up top. In the goals and additional expenses, you can enter any type of expenses that you wouldn't want included in your recurring annual living expenses. So expenses that should go here include expenses that won't last forever in retirement, expenses that don't recur every year, expenses that have a different growth rate than the general inflation rate, and any types of expenses that you simply want to break out from your general living expenses. To add an expense, you click on the plus icon and you can select from any of these existing types of expenses or select other goal slash expense down here. So if we select a medical expense, for example, you'll see the option to change the name and enter the annual expense amount. Below, you can specify when the expense will start, when it ends, growth rate, and you can also select the funding source. So since this is a medical expense, and if you have an HSA account in your plan, you can go ahead and select that to fund this specific expense. And a new expense that has been added is a qualified charitable distributions. So you will see that down here. If you add a qualified charitable distribution of example, for example, $10,000, your required minimum distributions will be reduced by that amount. In the other assets, you can enter any tangible assets that you own, such as a home, collectibles, valuable art, or any other assets that you want included in your net worth. You can also enter intangible assets, such as a future life insurance payout, an inheritance, a gift you may be expecting, and so on. If we click on the plus icon, like I just did, you can select from one of these existing options, or you can select other assets down here. And then in the liabilities, you can enter any loans that you have, including a mortgage. And before we move on to the plan settings, I want to explain what these little icons do up here. So the first one will widen the view. So if you want to view this in a bigger window, you can click on that. The middle icon will allow you to reorder the rows. So if you want to move your accounts here, when this is highlighted in blue, you can go ahead and move these around. And we can click on it again to disable that so they can't be moved. And then finally, if you want to have a compact view, you can click on this third icon. Do we have any questions on the cash flow input screen before we move on? I think Doug's doing a pretty good job at answering all of them, but if there's anything on this section that is confusing or that you have a question about, please send that in now. So in the projections and plans setting screen, you'll again see those cash flow projection graphs up top, your overall asset allocation, and your projected investment values. If we scroll down, we can view and edit the underlying plan settings. You can make basic changes to the information for the primary and additional person in the plan here. If you click on this little pencil icon, this will also allow you to change the first name, last name, and the date of birth. Your living expenses can be entered in here, along with whether or not this expense will be reduced when one person passes away. You can choose one expense for the plan, or you can choose varying expenses. The budget worksheet that we had in the previous user interface is in here as well. You can click on it to open it here. And I want to again show you just how the graphs and projected investment values respond when we change the information entered here. So if we were to bring their expenses down to, let's say, $50,000, take a look here, you'll immediately see these numbers change. Or if we bump it way up, let's say they're going to spend $200,000 instead, you'll see those numbers change as well. So just to know that you can run scenarios here with spending more or less and kind of quickly see what happens in your plan. You can change your inflation and COLA rate in here and choose either a static rate for the entire plan, or you can choose to vary these by year by clicking on this. So open a new window. So in here, you can easily change these by just clicking on the numbers. You can delete or add a row as well. And I do want to point out, this is an interesting one to play around with too. Right now they have a 3% inflation. Plan doesn't look too bad. Let's change that to 5. Not great. So it's a great way to kind of see what happens by changing some of these numbers that may not seem like they would make that big of a difference, but they do. Um, and just like in the previous user interface, the software can estimate your federal and state income taxes for you. You can also indicate if you're moving to a new state in the future here as well. You can edit your tax deductions below and add a capital loss carryover if you'd like to have that applied towards your capital gains taxes. Just do not forget to update this amount anytime you have used it in real life. You can add up to 2 future asset reallocations, and you can select from one of our model portfolios, or you can create your own. You will find these in the global settings, which we're going to review a little bit later. You can also click right here, and that'll take you over to that screen. You can apply an asset management fee or fund fee across all of your accounts in here, or you can select to apply the fee by individual account. So if you have to every account, you'll see the option to add the fee here. If you select by individual account, you will see the option to add the fee when you are in the actual inputs and settings for the account. So I'll go back quickly and show you. So if you do by account, you'll see the option to enter it in here instead. We've had a little bit of confusion of where to find this, so I figured I'd show you. So if you want to account for fees or any type of fund fees, asset management fee, you can do that by account or for all of them in here. And in the other settings, you can toggle on or off any of these settings below. Another interesting one is you can toggle on or off today's dollars in here. So if you look at the graph, you'll see these numbers will change and go up significantly, but your projected investment values will not. It is because we always show these in today's dollars, regardless if this setting is on or off. These will always be shown in today's dollars. If anyone has any questions, feel free to send those in now. I am going to launch one more poll. In this one, we just want to hear a little bit about any features that you would like to be added in the future. So if there's anything that you feel is missing at the moment that you would like to see, please let us know. So I'm going to launch that right now. So this one's just open-ended. If you just want to give us a brief, uh, couple word answer just about what you would like to see, that would be great. I'm going to move on and let everyone answer that one in the background. And we're going to head over to Monte Carlo. Okay, so running the Monte Carlo scenario has become a lot more faster than what it used to be. As you could see, this kind of just populated in a couple of seconds. Over on the right, you can see the 1,000 trials that have been run. If you hover over the graph, you can look at the top quartile, the median, and the bottom quartile numbers in each year. The bottom left graph shows you the probability of funding all goals through time broken out annually. So you'll see the probability of funding all goals in that specific year. You can hover over these bars, obviously, to see this information. And then over on the bottom right, you can view the average investment values broken down by quartiles along with the median. And then we'll head over to cash flow projections. So in here, you can view your cash flow year by year. On the cash flow distribution screen, you can view items such as your Social Security and pension income, your expenses in retirement, whether or not you will have a surplus or a deficit in any given year. And you can also view your projected estimated federal and state income tax rates along with your projected required minimum distributions. And in the investment and cash inflow screen, you can view your beginning and ending investment balance in each year, any contributions that you have added, your investment balance and growth broken down by each account, and much more. You will also see the option to filter the data up here, which is something that we have just added. It's a new feature. So this allows you to remove any columns that you do not wish to view. So if we unselect them all and I just want to look at the year, the ages, and one inflow, I can go ahead and do that. You can also export this. So if you want to view just this in exported format, you can do that, and you can export to Excel, PDF, and CSV. On the expenses screen, you can view your annual living expenses in retirement, along with any additional expenses, how expenses are paid, and a detailed breakdown of your taxes. You can view your total income versus expenses in each year and whether or not you will have a surplus or a shortfall. And the last screen shows you all of your cash flow data. In the investment insights section, you can view historical data for all of your investment accounts and also look at the holdings that are in each account. On the investment holding screen, you can view the asset allocation by individual account. So we'll add one of those. Or you can group any type of or any combination of accounts together if you'd like, and you can also choose account type. If we go ahead and select a couple of more, we'll do a few more of these. We can view all of the holdings that are in this combination down below, along with the current balance, the percentage of account, and the year-to-date return. And I just want to make sure that everyone knows that this is the public year-to-date return for the holding. It is not your specific year-to-date return. And if you see an NA next to a holding, it means that either no ticker symbol was entered for the holding, or it is a cash holding or a cash equivalent holding. You can also view the performance for your holdings. So let's go ahead and look at this one is fine. If you click on any of these holdings below, you will see the information for that specific holding in the graph here and also listed down below. You can also compare holdings. So for example, we will go ahead and choose, oops, I have a lot in here. We'll choose this one and we can compare this to another S&P 500 index fund, and you will see how these compare to each other with the return data shown here in the graph below and also the difference in the expense ratio. You can view the income that has been generated by your linked accounts. You can select the time frame up here and which accounts you would like to view this information for. You can also, I'll scroll down and show you so you can see the income shown down here. You can also view the balances over time for your linked accounts, and you can select to view this in a graph format or in a table format. So we'll click on a different one, this one for example. So you can view it like this, or you can choose to view it in a table format. The fund fees and turnover screen shows you how much you're paying to own your various funds. This works for your linked accounts and for your manually entered accounts, as long as you have entered the individual holdings along with the ticker symbols. And just again, to clear up any confusion regarding these fees, we've had a couple questions lately. The fees shown here are just informational only. We do not use these fees in your plan projections. So to account for any fund fees, you can enter a flat fee across all your accounts in the plan settings like we looked at a little bit earlier, or you can choose to enter the fee per account. So this is purely informational. If there's anything here that isn't accurate to your holding, it's whatever is being sent over through Yodlee usually. So these necessarily do not matter, but they are informational only. And finally, you can view the transactions for all of your linked accounts as well. You can select the time frame up here, which account you would like to view this for, and you can also search transactions. So if I want to look at just the trades that I've made, I can hit trade and it'll show me any trades in my transactions. Let's head over to scenarios. So these are the preset what if scenarios. You can move any of these sliders. I'll go ahead and move this one, hit run scenario, and view the results at the bottom. I'll give that one a second to generate. So you can view the base case down here and then the what if scenario here, along with the probability of funding all goals. And the way you input user-defined what-if scenarios have changed quite a bit from before. It is much easier to run these scenarios now. If you click Add Scenario here, you'll see the various options now open up in a much easier to view screen. In here, you can combine different scenarios like retiring later. We'll run this one. So let's say retire later. And we're going to retire 2 years later. And we're going to spend 20% more in our living expenses. And you can hit save. And then if you go ahead and click run scenarios, it'll run the other one that I have here as well, but it'll also run the one that we just created. Give this a second to generate as well. Okay, so here you can see the base case plan results. You can look at my other save more scenario, a little bit better than the retire later. But you can also view the detailed projections for these. So if you click on this, you can look at the cash flow for this scenario. You can also utilize the filters here to take out anything that you don't want to look at, and you can export this. You can run bear market scenarios, run an insurance analysis scenario, and asset allocation scenarios. So in here, you can view your current asset allocation in this graph here, and you can choose to either reallocate from a model or by percentage of asset class. If you select any of these model portfolios here, you'll immediately see how the proposed allocation changes as well, and then you can choose when you would like to reallocate. Okay, so the Roth IRA conversion scenario screen has changed a lot, and I think one of the most frequently requested enhancements has finally been implemented, which is the ability to choose multiple retirement accounts for the Roth IRA conversion. So we'll go ahead and move that so you can see. So for Heather, she can select first her 401k if she would like to run a conversion scenario for that. She also has an IRA, so if you want to combine the two, you can do that. You can select which federal tax bracket you would like to stay under here, when to start the conversion, and for how many years. This plan isn't necessarily set up for a Roth conversion, so her results are not going to look great. But over on the right-hand side, you can see whether or not the Roth conversion is worthwhile, along with the base case values and the Roth conversion scenario values. And if we go ahead and scroll down, you can view detailed cash flow projections for the base case and the Roth conversion scenario. Again, we also have the filter feature here, so if you don't want to look at all of this, you just want to see specific things, you can go ahead and select and deselect here, and you can export this. Any questions on this before we leave? I see Doug is answering a ton of questions, so I'll let him do those. Oh, let me close the other poll. I'm sorry about that. Okay. You can run a report on your retirement plan. I'm not going to click on this now because it'll take a little bit of time to run. But one addition to the report is that the user-defined what-if scenarios that we just looked at, I will show you these. The results from running this will now be included in the report when you run that. And if you have the My Plans feature, you will see the option to click on My Plans here. And this will just bring you to your kind of landing page that you're on where you can enter more plans or delete old ones if you'd like. And then we have grouped the asset class mapping, asset allocation strategies, and Monte Carlo assumptions under the global settings screen. So on the asset class mapping screen, you can edit the default asset classes by clicking on them. A new window will appear, and here you can edit the annual return and the return assumptions. You can easily create your own asset class by clicking on this plus icon here. The asset allocation strategies were previously referred to as the model portfolios. We still use both terms in this interface, so you'll see both being used. But you can make any changes to our pre-existing model portfolios in here by clicking on them. And in here, you can change the percentages assigned to each asset class. You can also add your own strategy by just clicking here. And the Monte Carlo assumption screen hasn't changed too much. You can change the standard deviations by clicking on any of these boxes here. And if you scroll down, you can make changes to the correlations. You can also choose which distribution you'd like to use, so you can either use normal or Laplace. And I think that is it. I'm going to go back to the dashboard and we're going to launch one final poll. So let's go back into my plan here. And I'm going to launch one more poll. So this one's pretty straightforward. We're just asking if you can provide any feedback about any frustrations that you have with WealthTrace, either in general or if there's any frustrations with the new user interface. We would love to know. I know there's been a little bit of confusion of kind of where to find goals. You just click on these to open them. But if there's anything else that is confusing, whoops, please let us know. And as always, you can reach us via live chat by clicking on the Get Help button down here to the right. You can also reach us via email if you click on the support button over here. This will redirect you to the Contact Us page on our website. You can also click on the Knowledge Center button to search our knowledge base for our most frequently asked questions and more. And finally, you can also click on this button here to schedule an expert support session with Doug.
I just want to mention about new features coming up
Yeah,
really
yep.
quickly.
Yes,
Uh,
please do.
Very likely the Roth optimizations will be in the next release, where the program will give you basically what should be an optimal solution instead of you having to run a bunch of scenarios on it. That was difficult to say the least, but it is working in beta. We also plan on adding a second linking provider as backup to Yodlee. I know a lot of people get frustrated. Believe me, I do too with Yodlee and accounts that take too long to start working again. So that will be a really nice change to the program. That probably won't make the next release, but I believe the one after that, so probably fall. So those are two big additions. We'll have other things, of course, that go in, but I just wanted to mention those two.
Mm-hmm. I see Thomas is asking for slower pace training. I know I moved through this webinar pretty quickly. We are releasing a tutorial on the entire website or software, which we hope to have released maybe next week. At that point, we will send out an email to everyone letting you know that it is live. That is much slower. We go into even more detail on kind of small little settings. So if you want things to move slower, I recommend looking at the tutorial when it is ready.
Yeah, good point. I think next week, right? It'll be ready.
I hope so. Yep.
Yeah.
We will send out an
So,
email so everyone knows when it's live, but it is just in final production phases. Okay, I think that's it. I'm going to go ahead and close out the poll for the feedback, and thank you to everyone that attended.
yep. Thank you, everybody.
All right, thank you so much. Bye bye.